I think the illustrious dream when it comes to real estate and realtors is you eventually want to get out of production. How are you going to get out of production? What does that look like? How do you protect your cash? How do you build up a stash? How do you make sure you have a mustache? I'm just rhyming with my stashes, but nonetheless, we are at a cool precipice for so many people. Staring at this idea of getting out of production feels awesome. I myself have gotten out of production now for about 9.5 years, and I have learned a plethora of lessons throughout it. And so I'm excited to go down this journey with you. Gang, my name's Erik Hatch. I'm with Hatch Broker by Real. I'm with Hatch Coaching. Looks like I just put my name on a lot of different things. But no matter what I put my name on, I will tell you that I have been a part of something pretty fun. I'm going to walk you through the journey of what I've done and then help you to understand the mistakes I made and the lessons that I learned so that you can get out of production. Now, I've served as a real estate coach for 8-ish years, and I've actually helped a lot of people transition to this next chapter. By avoiding these giant hiccups and uh-ohs and oh craps, I can keep cash in your pocket. I can keep stability in your life. I can keep you doing the things that you want to do instead of chasing production. So if you're watching this right now, my guess is you want to be out of production, or you just magically stumbled upon this on a live webinar or on our YouTube channel. But however you got here, I'm glad that you're here. I have nothing to sell you today. And I never want to sell. I never want to be pushing things. I'll just simply say this is if you like what you hear and you're like, I want some more of that, just connect with us. We'll see if we can help you train to get there, to get out of production or to get more money and life out of your current production. We have coached some of the top teams and realtors in the country for, again, the last 8 years. And if we can be of service to you, or if you are interested in partnering together, let's talk. But I'm not selling anything. I'm just here delivering value, because when I teach, I grow and I find people to grow with, and it's so fun. So with all that being said, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go back and forth and bounce around here just a little bit. And so I encourage you to dance with me. Here we go. Again, the theme for today is how to get out of production the right way. So let's figure out where I've been. 2006, I got licensed. I was full-time in the ministry. I worked at a local church. I'm in Fargo, North Dakota. I worked at the church that I was baptized and raised at. It's the place where I met my wife. It's the place where so much of my life has intersected, and it was a fantastic career. I got to be an intrapreneur, not an entrepreneur where you're building your own thing. I got to build within an already existing ecosystem as an intrapreneur, and it was awesome. But it didn't pay me well. And so I got my real estate license. And in that first year, I don't mean to I don't mean to brag, gang. I managed to sell 0 houses my first year. Woof. That's rough and tough and stuff. I sold 0 houses my first year. And then I'm like, I better find my way. So I found my way in 2007, and I sold, I think, 8 houses that year. And I sold 10 the next. And then I joined a real estate team and I sold 15 and 25. I got to ride that life for a while, and it was pretty fun. But I was part-time for 5 years. And so many people get into real estate part-time or full-time, but you at least need to understand the background of where I was at. Is like my life wasn't part-time. I had a full-time job and I had a part-time job. And in fact, real estate, when I was selling 15, 20, or 25 houses, that felt full-time. So it was like I had 2 full-time jobs. Now, 2011 to 2020 in real estate as my primary focus, it was very full-time. The early years, 2011 to 2014 and 15, I was probably 80 to 100 hours a week. Most people aren't willing to do what I did. You're looking to work 40 or 50 or 60, and you can still get there. You can still get out of production. But for me, I was building up a massive database, and I was building up a massive amount of influence while also building my team. Now, 21 to 23, I've really gave all my energy and focus to my coaching company. I've given some energy and focus to my real estate team, but not much. I mean, it was 21 to 23 was probably 10 to 15 hours a week. But now, starting midway through last year, like I give it like 3 hours a week, almost 0 time. I lead my president and I do some marketing, and that's all I do. So I've been now out of production for 9.5 years, but being out of production didn't mean that I was away from a full-time job. In fact, it meant I was simply taking on the responsibility of building a team and other ancillary businesses that have created for me a whole lot of wealth and income earning opportunities. Now, I want to share with you, because this personal production is important. That's what we're focusing on here. Is if you want to get out of production, I will say this, and I will say it very clearly. Your personal production is your fastest way to get out of production. That feels ironic, but let me say that again because it's imperative that this lands well. Your personal production is your fastest way to get out of production. I don't believe your team's production is the fastest way for you to get out of production, although that is a path that many people take. I think your personal production is the fastest way to get out of production. Please, if you're taking notes, write that down. Make sure that that becomes this unique North Star for where you're going. So here's what my personal production looked like, right? I didn't sell a lot of houses when I started. Average sales price in Fargo in 2011, when I went full-time, was about $160,000. It was about a $4,500 commission as where we started. That's not a ton of cash. Now our average sales price is $320,000. So our average commission is $8,000 to $9,000. So it changes. But I had to sell a lot of houses to make a lot of cash. Now, 2011, I sold 52 houses. Not my team, me. I sold 52 houses. And I bought $0 worth of leads. I worked open houses. I got a ton of referrals, and I was a glutton on social media. It was Facebook. It was pretty much all Facebook for me. Nowadays, the young hipster kids are like building YouTube channels and TikTok things, and they're getting business from that. For me, I just worked my sphere, because it landed on me very early on when I read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book by Gary Keller, which was like a Bible for me to build this business. It gave so many answers and so much clarity. It talked about how there was a conversion difference between have-not-mets and mets. Have-not-mets were people that you had no relationship with. Maybe it's an internet lead, or you're farming a neighborhood, and they talked that you would have a conversion rate of 1 in 50. It was 2%. That's not a lot, like at all. That's not a lot. The people that were Mets, people that were in your sphere, in your database, people who you had a relationship with, or at least close proximity to a relationship, they said it was 2 in 12. That's 16.67%. And the reason why they wouldn't simplify that fraction, as a math nerd growing up, I always wondered, why aren't they simplifying that fraction? Well, the simplification of that fraction would go to 1 in 6, but they said for every 12 people in your database, one of those people should refer you and one of those people should do business with you. And so I made sure that I both created content regularly and I engaged in other people's content consistently. It was a double punch, because I wanted to build up this business that I wasn't spending my way to the top. Now, the irony is, as I've built my team, we have gotten away from some of those habits, and we've now spent our way to the top. And it's been a painful journey, because those bills pile up even when the houses don't close. And so in 2011, I went full time. I worked every open house I possibly could. I was a glutton on social media. I was hyper involved in my community, and I didn't want to spend a dime on business. And so I made, in my first year of real estate full-time, I made and netted over $200,000 with an average sales price of $160,000. And so for you to understand that, that's like $1 million in today's money, post-inflation and everything else. Like that's just a lot of cash. And it happened because I invested early. I planted seeds early, and I needed to make sure I had a plan for this database. This plan was what I call my pursuit plan. I made sure that I made people feel seen, heard, valued, and cared for. Sounds simple, but it was met with a lot of intentionality. I also want to tell you, I didn't have a CRM. And I think I maybe had Top Producer. Any old Top Producer users out there? I think I had Top Producer. I didn't really use it well. I instead had a spreadsheet. That was it. And I made sure that every time I connected with somebody, either they connected with my social page, because I was creating content, or if I engaged in theirs, I made note of it. If I sent them a text message or a phone call or a direct message or saw them, I made note of it. And I just had my target audience of a few hundred people, and I made sure that I stayed consistent with them. I was able to identify them as like higher prospects and medium prospects and all that. And I felt really good about it. 2012, look at this. I started my team. We sold 192 homes on my team. I was 113 of those. And let me just pause for a moment, because this looks like a super awesome number. 192 homes is a lot. 113 homes is a lot. My quality of life was garbage. And every person on my team was selling between 10 and like 17 homes in that calendar year. With a low average sales price, they weren't making great cash. I made a lot of cash, but they didn't. Is that successful if I make a bunch of cash, but the people around me aren't making a bunch of cash? I mean, not in my world. That's not the type of leader that I want to be. It's not the kind of world that I want to create, but it's the world that I found myself in. Now, 2013, look at this. Our team numbers barely went up, but I was that whole gap. In fact, I got kicked out of Keller Williams in 2013, started over. I butted heads with the broker and the team leader. My ego was obscenely big. My team was massively undertrained. I had people cutting corners that I was unaware that they were cutting. And it was all a reflection on me having a very, very bad structure and foundation. So I sold a bunch of houses. I made a bunch of money, but emotionally, I was in the darkest place I had been in professionally. Nobody had a big life around me. And when I got that gift of starting over, and everybody left my team except for two people, a buyer agent and an admin, and we started over from there. We were able to rebuild in a healthier, better, more awesome sort of way. And I'm really proud of what we built since then. So take a look. 2014, I now sold 152 homes. That just kept building. I didn't pay for a single one of these leads. 113 homes, 149 homes, 152 homes. I didn't pay for a single one of those leads. I did land a builder contract, and that builder contract was about a third of my personal production. I worked really hard. I gave them white glove service. I helped to paint this picture, and I was able to take one great relationship and turn it into 50 transactions annually. Sometimes we think we got to go find 50 clients when really you need to find one or two or three that have a series of business. And that was part of my strategy. But as we take a look at this, gang, 152 homes is a lot. But finally, in 2014, my team outproduced me. This was the start. When I found myself in 2014, I was staring at my numbers, and my daughter was about to be born. My wife and I welcomed my daughter Finley in October of 2014. And that's when I stopped doing personal production. I wanted to be the dad that she deserved and the dad that I never had. And I wanted to make sure that I was a full-time dad before I was a slave to my business. And so I was building up, and I got out of production that day she was born. It was my last day that I took on new clients, essentially. I had some that I was still finishing up, and there was always a couple of onesie twosies here that popped up, but I got out of production. And so take a look. 2015, I sold 30 homes. In 2016 to today, I just barely sell any. Now, this looks great, but there's some big uh-ohs in here. The first uh-oh I want to point to is in 2014. Because in order for me to make the decision to get out of production, I looked at my profit and loss statements, my P&L. And I think that many of you make your decisions in the same way that I do. You look at your P&L to say, can I afford to get out of production? I had said, any deal that I have from my sphere that I refer to an agent on my team, I'm going to take 25%. Now, some of you with teams aren't currently doing this. And this for me was a way in which to still protect some of my cash. If we take an average commission of $10,000, because I want to use really easy math for us today. If we take an average commission of $10,000 and we take that and we give that to an agent, well, I took 25% off the top. So I took that $2,500, meaning that there was a $7,500 split between the company and that agent. So on a 50-50 split, the agent gets $3,750, the company gets $3,750, and then I get $2,500. Do you see how that math works? Because right now, especially, I mean, people are paying Zillow Flex 40%, and you're paying Dave Ramsey 30 or 35%. And you're paying an outside agent 25 or 30%. If you're a team owner and you're getting out of production, I don't think you should just give your business to somebody else without there being like, and just expect the 50-50 split. I think that, and by the way, I'm not endorsing a 50-50 split. I'm just keeping it simple math here. Okay. If you are giving a piece of business that is a ready, willing, and able buyer or seller, I think you should, at bare minimum, take a 25 to 35% referral fee off the top. And the mistake I made in 2014 is not what I just mentioned. I did take that, but the mistake I made was I was taking all of my personal commission every time I would sell a house. And instead of me paying myself like I'd pay an agent on a $10,000 deal, if it's 50-50, Erik Hatch, the realtor, would get $5,000. And then the team gets $5,000, and then they have expenses and everything else. I didn't do that. I didn't pay myself a commission like I'd pay Dave on my team. I just put all 10 grand into the company kitty. And so my P&L was messed up. And that's that's one of the first directions I want to go here is if you are thinking of getting out of production, we got to have the numbers make sense. And if you're taking notes, please say, charge a 25 to 35% referral fee at minimum. That is a must do for you. Is if you're giving any ready, willing, and able buyer or seller to somebody on your team or in your brokerage or anywhere else, you should be taking a cut on that. But we have to get our numbers right. So the GCI comes in, 10 grand, GCI, gross commission income, $10,000 in commission comes in. That commission first goes to COGS, cost of goods sold. That 50% commission split either gets paid to your agent, Dave, or you take it because you are the producer on it. You are the person that sold that house. That doesn't sit in the company P&L. That is a cost of goods. So that 50% goes to your personal checking account, meaning the business has clearer numbers. In 2014, gang, I didn't have clear numbers. I put all my commissions, all 10 grand of every check into my checking account, into my P&L. And so I thought I was making a bunch of money as a business owner and getting out of production would be super easy. I got hit with a proverbial backhanded slap that woke me up and jarred me. Hear me very clearly. 2014, our team sold 411 homes. 2015, our team sold 516 homes. We increased our sales 25%. And I made a couple $100,000 less because I was bad with math. I was bad with the P&L, and you need to make sure that if you're ever considering getting out of production, you have your numbers right. Healthy decisions will lead to a healthy business. So now we have to figure out, how do you as a business owner, not you as a realtor, how do you as a business owner make sure that you have a profitable business, that you're not spending your way to the top? This equation, you should take a screenshot right now. You should write this down. You should do whatever it takes, because right now, this equation will determine your owner profit. And I want to walk through it with you. The GCI, the gross commission income, that's the $10,000 commission check that comes in. You're probably going to have about a 50% COGS, cost of goods sold. That's the commission that you're paying out. So now you're all of a sudden down to $5,000. Well, then you have lead generation expenses. Some of you are buying a lot of your leads, whether it be with Zillow or whether it be with homes.com or internet leads or farming neighborhoods, or just caring for your past and current clients. That all is a lead generation expense. So you better subtract that. And then you have salaries, and you have the salaries of your staff. You have the salaries of VAs if you have VAs. And please make note of this, you should be paying yourself a salary. Your job up until this point, and it's important that you see the whites of my eyes here, your job is threefold. Number one, you are a business owner. A business owner gets to profit. Number two, you are an agent / realtor. That's how you get paid with the commission. Number three, You are a CEO. So when it comes to salaries, are you paying yourself a CEO salary? A CEO salary for a large business is a six-figure and sometimes multiple six-figure salary. If you're a smaller business, at least get into the habit of paying yourself a salary of $2 to $3 grand a month. That's your time to work on the business. Your time as a realtor is to work in the business. And so it's imperative that you have your numbers correct. By the way, my partner Robbie T and I wrote this book called The Perfect Real Estate Agent Blueprint. If you find me on Instagram, it's Real Erik Hatch. That's Erik with a K, Real Erik Hatch, and DM me one word, and that's Blueprint. I'll give you a free copy of the book. You just got to pay shipping and handling. I'll also have a slide for you at the end of this that will give you these instructions once again if you didn't write that down. But again, find me on Instagram at Real Erik Hatch, Erik with a K, and then simply DM me the one word Blueprint, and we'll give you instructions on how to get that for free. Because all these numbers that I'm talking about are in the book. All right. MREA was a really great book. It was powerful, but it misses some of the heart pieces and it misses some of the updates that the industry has said. One of our watchers right now, a guy named Jeremy, just typed into the chat for me, says that book is fabulous. Just read it last week on vacation. Oh, dude, thanks for the endorsement. I appreciate that so much. Let's go back to this equation here underneath owner profit, okay? Your GCI minus the COGS, minus your lead gen, minus the salaries, and that includes a salary for you, minus your overhead. Overhead is errors and emissions insurance. It's your office space. It's your internet. It's your phone. It's your vehicle, all that. That should lead to owner profit. If your owner profit percentage is under 15%, you should not get out of production. Under 15% means you don't have a solid business. Those aren't healthy numbers. If you know your numbers, you can make a decision logically, not emotionally. Sometimes people are running from the emotion of being in production. It's exhausting you. It's taxing you. It's messing with your life. And you just are trying to run from it. Until you have a steady foundation, you can't run from it. And then you should know what you're running towards. You should know the goodness that's waiting for you on the other side of things. You should know the life that you want. If you just simply want more time back in your life, I promise you, you're going to hand things off in an emotional time and you're going to lose a ton of money like I did, because I haven't done this the right way and I have lost millions and millions of dollars. Okay. I'm going to give you the example. So here's the path that we're going to go down here for the second half of our conversation today. Is we're going down the path of having the right model. I got to name the pain though, gang. Grab your popcorn. It gets dramatic. 2014 was my last year in production. Sold 152 houses myself personally, with an average commission of, at that point, it was $6 grand, maybe $7, but I'll say $6 grand, an average commission of $6 grand. I made $900,000 in top line revenue. The company got, if I would have done it right, the company would have got 450 and I would have got 450. But guess what? I own the company, right? I have admin to pay. I have overhead. I have all these other things. And because my numbers were messed up, I didn't realize that I was actually funding my business. My team wasn't making much money because I was overspending on leads, because I was, I went and I bought a really, really, really expensive building. It was just like stupid mistake after stupid mistake. But that's not the lesson I want to instill upon you right now. Because here's what I did. I took my client, Janet, and I referred her to Mark on my team. Mark was a new agent in 2014. Mark was a good agent. I gave Janet to Mark. I took 25% off the top of that. So on a $10,000 commission, I got $2,500 on the top. And then Mark got 50% of the 7,500, which is 3,750. And the company got a gross amount of 3,750. We sold a lot of houses that way. And I gave all 152 deals to people on my team. Mark left my team in 2019. The average lifespan of somebody staying on a team is 3 years. Sometimes somebody sticks around for 5 or 6 or 7. But here's what I did to Janet, this mythical client. To Janet, I told her, I'm not your realtor anymore. I introduced her to another realtor. And now I'll look on the MLS hot sheet any given day and I see that Janet just listed her house with Mark. Because when I handed off the transaction, I unintentionally handed off the relationship. Let me say that again. When you hand off the transaction, you unintentionally hand off the relationship. And this is a cause for pause, because let's fast forward to what happened with my business in 2023. In 2014, 10 years prior, I did 152 deals in which I didn't pay for a single one of them. The number of referrals that I gave to my team in 2023 that actually turned into closed transactions was 20. I lost 132 transactions just in the year 2023. With an average commission of $8,000, I lost $1 million just in 2023. But I lost a bunch in 2022 and 2021. And those 10 years between when I got out of production and when I woke up to say, oh crap, I've done it wrong. And again, I don't know. I don't know how to fix this at this point. I don't know how to get these relationships back. These are people I still love and care about, but I told them I'm not their realtor anymore. This is a huge problem. The people that you have earned their trust should stay by you forever. So instead of building a big, giant mega team, which is what MREA tells you, instead of building a big, giant mega team, insert my infomercial voices. There's got to be a better way. And there is a better way. And we write about it in this book. And my boy Jeremy just said, hey, that makes a lot of sense, right? It plays. I don't want you to think mega. I want you to think micro. The success that you want, the cash that you want, the life that you want is not out of growing something big. Do you know how many giant headaches people with big teams have? Do you know how few of us are designed to manage, lead, and run 20 or 30 people, let alone 20 or 30 independent contractors, ego-driven realtors, untrained ruffians? I've had a mega team. I still have a mega team. I will continue to do and build a mega team. But I'm built different than most. My buddy Hank says that most people, and he's a great real estate coach, he said most people shouldn't ever grow a big team. If you think you're going to grow a big team and get out of production, that's going to make you a ton of money, I got to tell you, it's not true for most people. I honestly think you can have your cake and eat it too. You can make the money that you want to sustain the life that you want, but you can do so with this easy micro team move. Not mega team. Mega team is 7. In fact, here's how we define it in the Perfect Real Estate Agent Blueprint: is a micro team is like 6 people or less. A mega team is like a medium team, is 7 to 12, and a mega team is 13 plus people. I don't think you have to go medium. I don't think you have to go mega. I think you can have the life that you want with 6 people or less. Allow me to go down this path, okay? But I want to instill upon you that the model is broken when you do try to grow a big mega team. Okay. Your agents are probably going to be undertrained. Their failure rate is 87%. The burnout for them and for you, with them scavenging and scrounging to try to make it, is super high. The margins on a real estate team are rough. In the peak, my team, in our very peak, we sold 1,024 homes. This was in 2021. We sold 1,024 homes. I was spending, between my salaries and between the leads we were buying and the office that we had, I was spending over $200,000 a month. I had long, luxurious hair before that, gang. But now we're stripping all that down. To go big, we're thinking small. For you to have a big life, I want you to think small, not big. Avoid these pains in our industry because this is a broken model. So we're going down the micro team path. Let this be a new introduction and idea for you. But if you want to get out of production, this is it. So let's start with the foundation. We talked about numbers a little while ago and how to study those numbers. This is the foundation I recommend. Your first hire is not an agent. In fact, let me instill upon you for a moment the danger of hiring a buyer agent or an agent in general. If you give me 5 quality at bats from my sphere or a really great lead source, because I'm a seasoned agent, because I'm talented and skilled and a veteran, and I've been doing this for 18 years now, you give me 5 quality leads, I'm going to close all 5 of those, right? That's 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 in commission. But we think if I bring on 10 agents that can each sell 10 houses, I'm going to sell 100 houses. I'm going to make all this money from it. But let's be honest, you bring on a new agent and you give them 5 quality at bats, they're not going to do 5. They're not going to do 4. They're not going to do 3. Realistically, they're going to do 2 of the 5, maybe even 1. And if they do 2 of the 5 and they're on a 50-50 split with you, that means that they get 10 grand and you get 10 grand. You just lost 3 deals. You just lost referrals and repeat clients. So you're going to have to keep it on. That agent has a bad life because their cash is inconsistent and they're frustrated. You have a bad life because you're now spending all this money just to try to make money. And now you're dealing with management problems. And then you still have to go and sell houses and you will lose your friggin' mind trying to build this. Somebody put in the chat box, if this is your story right now, that hiring agents has not been as fruitful and financially positive as you thought it would be. Just type into the chat box, that's me. If that's your story, that you've hired agents and it has not led to the cash that you were promised and thought it would, just type in, that's me. I see a few of them coming in already. Okay, I'm just making sure that I am preaching not to the choir, but I am preaching to people that need this. Maybe that is the choir, nonetheless. So here we go. Your first hire based around your personal production is that you bring on an admin. This admin, I believe, should be in office. I think that your second one can be a VA, a virtual assistant, but I think the first one needs to be in office. This person's job is to take non-income producing activities off of your plate. Those non-income producing activities would be things like transaction coordinating and runner responsibilities and some client communication pieces and organization and paperwork and all of the aforementioned, the things that slow down a great salesperson. That admin, and depending on the market that you're at, it's going to cost you 40 or 50 or 60 grand. But they are a full-time. Please don't hire part-time. I could go into a long rant on why part-time is a bad choice, but just hear me clearly. If you hire somebody part-time and they're good, you want them to be full-time, but they can't be. But part-time results produce less than part-time, or part-time hires produce less than part-time results in my experience. So you should look to bring on your first person full-time and you should have them in office. Your second hire now around your personal production is another admin. This admin is now, the first one helps you to breathe. The second one helps you to grow. So think marketing, think outreaches, think extra touches with your database, think projects. When I hired my first admin, 2011, I hired a part-time college student. Her name was Mariah, sweet gal, but I set her up to fail. I set her up to fail because I gave her projects that she didn't do well on because she wasn't led well. And she actually created more work for me than less work. Your first one helps you to breathe. They should take things off your plate. Your second one helps you to build. So with all that being said, this means that I'm adding expenses to your world. Admin. Most people don't think like that. Most people think I'm going to go and hire a bunch of agents and that's how I'm going to make money. Go back to this. Think about this. Maybe it's this big old bear claw coming in to smack you upside your head to say, stop thinking about bringing on new or mediocre agents, because it's going to turn into probably one. And guess which finger I would pick? It's going to turn into one transaction. And so think through that whenever you're thinking about, I'm going to just hire a bunch of new agents and that's what's going to make me money. It doesn't work that way most of the time. Now, new agents are a necessary evil, and all of us have been new agents before. So I don't digress too much on that, but I will tell you the fastest way for you to make a bunch of cash and for you to get out of production is your own personal production. And so when it is time to bring on an agent, you're bringing on an agent partner, a licensed agent that is going to stand by your side. They are the extension to you. They're not chasing all their own business of these company leads and they're going after their own database. Like that will happen, but their main job is to support you. I'll give you a breakdown of their responsibilities, but I want to share with you this partner compensation model. You have two choices: either pay them a salary or pay them commission. This salary is like a salary plus. 36 to 50K is what they would make. They're a full-time employee. And guess what? When somebody is a full-time employee, you dictate their time. You cannot dictate the time of an independent contractor. It is literally illegal for you to do so. However, you can dictate the time and the habits of an employee. And that's why I love this salaried model. On the deals that they touch, you can pay them anywhere from no commission to 5% commission. So if they work with the Johnsons to buy a house, this agent partner now would be getting anywhere from a $0 bonus to a 5% bonus when that property closes. And then if they bring in a deal, whether they work an open house or if they work with somebody from their sphere, they're getting 15%. But Eric, why not pay them 25%? Because that's what a referral is 25%. Well, you're paying them a salary to lead generate. Because you're paying them a salary, you don't have to pay them a 25%. I don't think. So option number one, pay them a salary. Option number two, pay them commission. The reason why I prefer the salaried model is because they're an employee and you dictate their time. And also, you're giving them stability in a very unstable job. Most realtors fail because they're gambling with their lives. Sticking with the 5 rule for just a moment here, it's going to be important for you to see. 5 types of people can get into real estate as a full-time commission job. 5 types. Somebody with a sugar daddy or sugar mama. That wasn't me. Somebody with a trust fund. That sure wasn't me. Somebody with a second job. That was me. Somebody with terrible financial habits and they're about to go into crazy debt. That's a lot of people. Or somebody who has a giant savings account and can go 6 months without earning a commission. And so you literally open up your talent pool when you choose to offer and pay somebody a salary. I think this is one of the greatest hacks because it forces you to be a business person, meaning you're operating with a very healthy, clear P&L. It forces you to be a good business person, and it forces them to have a baptism by fire. They will get their MBA in real estate by working alongside you. You throw them to the wolves to find their own way, and they have an 87% failure rate. For the agents on my team over the last decade that we brought on as agent partners, we have about an 87% success rate. And I'm not saying successful meaning they're making 40 or 50 grand, barely getting by. These people are making multiple 6-figure lives. Every great realtor outside of one I can think of that's on my team right now started as an agent partner. It is the literal greatest gift that you can give. In fact, everybody wins when you have an agent partner. You win because you get your time back. The new agent wins because they get stability and incredible training. Your client wins because your client now gets 2 for the price of 1. They're not paying more for this. They're simply working with somebody who has leverage around them. And leverage on the agent side is what we're talking about. So if you are paying them a commission, no base pay on the deals that they touch, meaning anyone that closes, if the Johnsons came through you and you converted them, but they close, that means that this agent partner is going to get 15%, 10 to 15%. On deals that they procure themselves, say it's from their sphere, they get probably 25%. Or if it's a deal that they convert from the pond, your pool of leads that nobody else is able to convert, I give them like a 5% bonus on that. So getting exact, I'm happy to hop on a call with any of you who are looking to build this. Just reach out to us on my Instagram page, and I'll happily walk you through and help you figure out the right comp model. But here's what this agent partner does, okay? Their number one job in this order is first to leverage you. They're helping everything so that you can do more. Then their number two job is to train. They literally will get paid, if you pay them a salary, to earn while they learn. It is such a great hack because this is your next man or next woman up. This is your chance to have somebody ready to go when business grows or somebody leaves. Third is lead generation, right? They need to figure out that they can prove proficiency on killing their own. Before you ever throw them to the wolves and hope that they make it, you need to make sure that they can prove competency in lead conversion. One of the best agents in our world spent 4.5 years as an agent partner. Their service was a 10 out of 10, but they had no proficiency on actually converting deals. They were bad at asking for business. They were bad at converting. It's really, really, really rough. And so if you want to win, you got to think differently. And that is, you have to think that everything should be earned and nothing should be given. We are asking, I'm going to type here in the chat box my Instagram handle so people can find it. It's real Erik Hatch, at real Erik Hatch. Justin asked this question: what do we do if we did it all backwards? You have a bunch of agents. How do you go forward? Such a good question. Justin, you don't need to blow up your current business, but you need to, I think, get an agent partner. I think you bring this person close to you. I think you start charging, if you are handing referrals off, you start charging your agents that 25% I talked about. But I think you hand out less of those and you keep those for you and your agent partner. You keep those tighter and closer to it. Justin, you should message me on Instagram. We'll have a conversation about it because I can help you unravel this. And I don't want to derail this conversation for your one pain, but I'll tell you, if you're like Justin right now, typing into the chat box that he did it all backwards. Justin, you and almost everybody else have done it all backwards, myself included. So I'm figuring out how to write this ship, but it takes intricacies. And it's one of my sweet spots is to help you make a bunch of cash and get out of production and build great lives for agents. So I want to share with you how this math actually works. Okay. We're talking with an average commission, follow the boxes, an average commission of 10 grand. You yourself or an agent on your team, however you want to do this, closing 30 deals annually. You keep all the money, but you're doing all the work. Maybe you have admin that are helping you, but you're doing all the work. So that adds up to being $300,000 in gross profit. Now, understand you have expenses tied to this. You have all of the aforementioned from a few slides ago. So you have cost of goods sold, and you have your overhead, and you have salaries, and you have lead generation expenses. So I hope you can understand why it's important that you know your numbers. But this equation, if you're doing what I did, where I didn't buy any business and I had a tiny little office and I had no other real expenses, I was able to keep like 70 or 80% of my money between my cost of goods sold and between my owner profit. I knew the numbers, right? Now for you, if this is simple math, I know that if you're selling 30 homes a year or 40 or 50 or 60, your personal production, that you're working 50 plus hours, probably way more. No flexibility, no catch-all, no time off. It's a dangerous slippery slope. These numbers are about as real as you can get. And I challenge you to do this quick little equation and figure this out based on your current personal production business. You bring on an agent partner. That agent partner affords you time back in your life. Again, they're doing the majority of the showings and the client communications and the work in the CRM, and they are communicating with other agents about things, and they're handling all the inspections, and maybe you're going to closings together. Like, all these things are happening in real time. And so they're affording you time back in your life. And if you choose to take that time and invest that time into income producing activities, there's no doubt in my mind that you'll sell more houses. So instead of selling 30 houses, it changes to 45 houses. Now, if you pay that in the upper right-hand corner here, if you pay that agent partner a 40K base and 5% per transaction, they make $62,500. This is most likely a brand new agent. Show me a brand new agent that makes 60 grand in their first year. Show me. I mean, you're going to show me a unicorn. Maybe they exist, but there's not many of them. So you've gifted this new agent stability while you sold 15 more houses, while you got more time back. Because now we take that 10,000 times 45 deals, that's $450,000. Take away the agent partner pay of 62.5, and magically my gross profit went up $87,000. But my time in the business went from 50 plus hours a week to 35 to 40. We're starting to work smarter, not harder. I promise you, if you go and hire 10 agents, you're going to spend so much time managing, training, developing, dealing with all that chaos. And then you're giving them those clients that were yours, that you had earned. And as you give it to them, you'll maybe get 25% off the top, but you've handed off the relationship now. And all of a sudden you're going to look 10 years from now and say, I've lost $5 to $10 million in my business, and it's going to burn, and it's going to burn bad. So I hope this is starting to land, because I want to break this out. So people say, well, what happens with one of these agent partners? Where do they go? What's their path? By the way, before I unveil all this, I think that your talent pool, as I had mentioned before, is so much greater. This is maybe not your average type of agent. This is somebody who's working a retail job, or maybe they're an educator or a nurse. Maybe they're working an office job, and they're so frustrated because no matter how hard they work, they get their 3% raise annually, and it's sucking the life out of them. But they're, or you see somebody who's a great server at a restaurant. I've hired like half of my people who used to be servers and bartenders. And you talk to them about what's possible, and you just say, hey, are you interested in a slingshot where we're going to hold you, we're going to develop you, we're going to keep pulling you back, and when we let you go, you're going to go faster than anybody else? Because it's a different, it's not like you're going to be your own boss and you can make unlimited money. It's like, no, I'm going to hold you, and I'm going to train you better than anybody else is trained in this industry. And you're going to get your MBA in real estate working alongside me. You're going to develop more skills than anybody else has, and you're going to get 10 years of experience in the next 12 months. You got to stay by my side. And then you have to earn your way. Are you interested? And they're going to say, oh, hell yeah. Because you got to be a great storyteller. So the first person might be a lifer. This lifer is somebody who's probably a high S on the disc profile. They don't love the idea of going and having to fend for commissions, and there's inconsistency. You're giving this person consistency. So this lifer is great for a lot of people. Now, if they have kids or a spouse, nights and weekends start to become an issue there. But if they don't, oftentimes it opens up. There are always outliers in situations where somebody has a great balance of work and home, but understand that this is more of a lifestyle for someone than it is just a job. And so there are going to be the evenings, the weekends, and all the interruptions that come with real estate. So it's important that you cast that vision. The most common is the graduate. The graduate is somebody who has earned their right to receive these 5 quality at-bats from you. And if they've earned that right as a graduate to receive these 5 quality at-bats, we usually say a minimum of a year served and at least 10 deals that they have brought in or converted. 1 year, 10 deals. Sometimes that takes 2 years or 3 years or 4 years for them to do those 10 deals. But by the time they've done that, you can have the confidence that they're going to convert all 5 of these deals really well. And that means now they're going to make $25,000 and you're going to make $25,000. It's simply a better way. But this third one, this is how you get out of production. It's the empire builder. It's somebody who comes alongside you and they are eventually taking over your entire business, taking it over. They are running the show. They are now negotiating and navigating. And a traditional showing partner, they're not touching contracts. They're not getting buyers and sellers under contract. They're not negotiating deals. You're doing that. But an empire, they're now negotiating deals and they're getting people under contract. They are your literal right hand. They don't graduate off your micro team, they graduate up it. So now their compensation increases. They don't, this is the clearest distinction I can give you. They are not a hunter. They are a gatherer. If we use the disc profile and if we say high D's are hunters and maybe high I's as well, that's only 14% of the population. 3% are D's, 11% are I's. The S's and C's make up the majority of the world. They make up 69% on the S's and 17% on the C's. That's who's usually going to live this kind of role. And they can go and they can gather from your clients and your reputation, and they're continuing to serve them exceedingly well. It's a life that most agents want, but they are lured into the idea that they need to do something else. This gives this empire builder agent partner alongside you, it gives them a predictable, safe life while serving people exceedingly well. They don't have to go and try to build it on their own. Most people aren't built that way. So here's what it looks like. This is an agent partner and an empire builder. I should add more closings annually to this. I should add more closings. I think you'll close 60 or 70 or 80 like this. But look, the agent partner here, they're still get their $62,500. But your empire builder, if they make 20% per transaction, they're going to make 90 grand. If they kill and bring in any of those, and they'll make more. But this person can have a predictable business in real estate making about $100,000. Show me a job that somebody with a 90-hour education can make six figures without big risk. Show me that job. Doctors make $250,000 to $300,000 a year. And they only have $500,000 in debt from their education. And they got to look at gross stuff and the few are there, but real estate is a crazy job. Sales is a crazy job. And so all of a sudden, this person now can make about 100 grand, and this person here can make 60 grand. You're giving great lives to people, and you're giving great service to your clients, and they're still your clients. You didn't hand them off to Mark 10 years ago, never to see them again. Your gross profit is now 297. Let's say you have half of that goes towards salaries and overhead and buying some leads and everything else. So now you're making 150 grand net. 150 grand net. It's a lot of cash. If you were like me and you didn't buy any business, you make 200 grand net. In fact, I sold way more houses than this. I would make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $700,000 net by working 10 to 15 hours a week. Here's where my time went. Here's where your time should go if you have an empire builder. I'm out of production. I'm not showing homes on nights and weekends. I'm not taking phone calls. I'm literally doing these three things. It takes 10 to 15 hours a week. I'm leading my team. I'm shaking hands and kissing babies. I'm not talking to them about the transaction. I'm talking to them about their life. And then I introduce them to my agent partner, and I introduce them to my empire builder. And we simply say we're a team. You get 3 of us for the price of 1. You include your admin in there and you get 5 for the price of 1. 10 to 15 hours a week to be completely out of production. Does this have your attention? I think some of you have commissions that are much, much higher than what I shared. And I think that if you're looking to get out of production, you need to make sure your numbers are right. You need to make sure you have your team right. Gang, if I would have done this 10 years ago, I would literally have a net worth of $5 to $10 million more than what I have right now. And I understand I don't live a life like everybody else lives. I get that. And you're like, well, I'm not going to be Erik Hatch. I'm not going to sell 150 homes a year. So my guess is you're selling 30 or 40 or 50. And if in the next 5 to 10 years, you can make the right choice. And if you cut down my production by 2/3, instead of 150, you do 50 a year. And then you build this model. I told you I was out 5 to 10 million. You would be out $1.5 to $3.5 million if you don't do this the right way. I don't care where you are or who you are. That is a crazy amount of money. You deserve to have more time in your life. You deserve to have more cash in your pocket. And yes, in the infomercial voice, there is a better way. And the better way is the micro team. If you want out of production, this book is going to teach you how. I'm not selling you anything. I just ask you pay shipping and handling, and that's it. So find me on Instagram at Real Erik Hatch. You just have to DM me the word blueprint, and the AI will take over from there. This gang right here. This is how you get out of production. There's 1,000 little intricacies in there. Don't be afraid to ask questions to me. I want to be your coach in a box, whatever that takes. I'm not going to charge you anything. My hope is eventually we'll partner together in some way, shape, or form, but like, I'm just going to give value. We're going to have an awesome time. So that's all I have for you today. I am going to hit pause on the recording. Those of you watching live, I'll answer any questions that you have. If it's a question that I want shared with everybody, I'll launch it. But I want you all to please keep on keeping on with this. Think smarter, not harder. This business is not meant for us to lose our life and to lose our mind and lose our hair and everything else. There's a better way, so you can learn from my mistakes and follow this model, and you're going to have a huge life. So those of you, thanks for tuning in. If there are any questions, I will answer those live on the recording. Justin has the question: what is the goal for profit percentage wise for the team? I think each team, like, I had a conversation with a coaching client yesterday, and he said, I need to make sure that he has at least a 15% profit margin. And I'm like, 15 is a good number. But I said, if you were making $100,000 a month and profiting 18%, or if you were profiting 11%, but $200,000 a month, which one would you prefer? And his answer was, well, I prefer 200,000 all day. And I said, okay, well, sometimes we get confused on what is the right profit margin versus what is the right profit. Because I'd rather have half of a watermelon than 100% of a grape. And so I challenged this coaching client to say, like, how much of your money is spent on like future business growth? Because our P&Ls don't always reflect that, Justin. Our P&Ls don't reflect like, all right, I purchased a new lead source, but it's going to take 6 months before I see any of that convert. Or I made this new hire, but I'm not going to see the impact on my bottom line. And I think that if I were to answer your question, I think that everybody needs to have a target goal that they're going after, and a target number that they're going after as well. Because 15% of 10K or 11% of 50K, it all reads really different. So I'd want to make sure that you are targeting. For me, for my team, I choose to have a minimum of 15% profit. If it's under 15%, I have to make changes. But the target number that I go for is I go for 25% profit. Okay. Ryan says, never heard anything like this, but he's talked to a ton of team leaders. They have very little actual profits. Ryan, I'm going to tell you that most of those team leaders aren't actually doing their P&Ls the right way either, that they're putting their own personal production in. I just started coaching a gal, and she and her husband, I asked them how much money they made last year, and they didn't have a clear answer. I'm like, oh, well, that's trouble. And then as we dove into it and we looked at their numbers, she and her husband had done 40% of all their production, which is fine. But then I said, well, did you pay yourself commission on that? And they said, no. And when we looked at it, them running a team actually, if I would have just taken their 70 deals that they did, give them a couple of admin, and that was it, they would have profited something like $400,000. But they had a bunch of agents on their team, and they put all their money in there, and they still sold the 70 houses, and they made like $200,000. They literally spent $100,000 so other agents could have great lives. And I am all for philanthropic efforts, but we can't run nonprofits. It's not a good way to support our family or this world or our lives. And so we have to make changes based on those parameters. It's far too dangerous otherwise. And if you don't have your numbers right, you got to get it figured out. And if you want something big, you got to think small. So I beat that horse dead. Gang. Much love. Check out our YouTube channel for more videos. Keep on keeping on with our webinars. And if you need me at all, find me on Instagram. Much love.